It's that time to change the spark plugs. So, gotta figure out how to get in there. So let's see what needs to be taken out in order to replace these plugs successfully. So from what I can see, the battery's going to have to come out on the driver's side. Just there, that's coil number 1. That's one of the coils, and the second one is hiding right behind here, right down there. So hopefully we don't have to take out the harness to get the job done, to access it and make sure everything goes back properly, comfortably. And on the passenger side, I think this airbox is going to have to come out, and this one should be relatively simple, where you can see one is just here and the second one is right beside it. 1 and 2. So once this airbox comes out, I'm hoping we don't have to jack up the motor in any way, and let's see how that goes. So we're going to use a 10 mil to remove the battery brace. 10 mil and a 10 mil. And just remember, shorter end goes by the fuse box here. Okay, this is undone. Now let's get this sucker out. So now that the battery's out, you can see it a little bit better. However, this brace here with the battery cable and the ECU will need to move. So let's see what we can do about that. So in order to remove this connection, you press that down, right, like that, and then lift it up. I have only 2 hands, so let's see. Done that. There. And then like that. Same for the other. Just there. The idea of removing this was to get better access to the bracket that's holding that. You see one of the screw nuts, and then you see the other one. But to get to the one right at the back there, I thought this might help. I think the smart thing to do would be to use a swivel socket and a long extension quarter inch. Right, so that's in. I went from the outside there to the inside of the AC line. There's a socket there, right on top. Right, so these 2 10 mils are out at the bottom, and now we can pry this out of the way to get to that little sucker right under there, hopefully. So the bracket that we undid before, to me, I find that it does need to come out because it's securing the cables so well that you can't have access to the coil that's right on the bottom. So I clipped off all of these with the hopes that I can just take this out, right here, take it out, and it'll allow me to wiggle cables over here and have more easier access. Just a pain in the ass, but hey, there's nothing technical to it. You just really have to be patient. Okay, so at this point I have gone ahead and moved these suckers out the way, and now you get a much clearer view of the two that need to be undone. Sorry, am I pointing at the wrong thing? Nope. That one and that one. Slowly but surely. Based on the tight spot that we're at, trying to get the coil pack off might be a bit of a problem, so I kind of put my flathead in there and just pried it out a little bit from all three areas because it creates almost like a vacuum here when it's not been touched for a while. This car has only 21,000 miles on it, but there's reasons I'm doing the spark plugs. It's had a lot of tuning done, and it's mainly used for track. So the motor's, beaten down on a lot, and you got to look after it. If you're going to drive it hard, you got to look after it. So this is what I'm going to be putting on next. As I previously mentioned, the 5/8 was not the right size. It's actually a 14, but you got to make sure you've got a really deep socket, because this is classified as a deep socket, but it's not enough for the plug, because what happens is there's no place for the socket, the ratchet, to actually grab on. So lucky for me, I have an even longer one here, which is an impact unit. So when you it's tough doing this with one hand, but when you get this in there at this point, you will see that there's plenty of room for the socket, the ratchet to plug into place. All right, so the socket with the 14-inch socket and the 2-inch extension on a 3/8 drive is in. You can see it's all the way in there. So put that in first, and then go ahead and place that in. Well, you're going to need an extendable magnet. Good luck trying to get that spark plug out, but this is the piece here, the original, and you can see a little bit on the lean side, but that's because we're on E50 mix, 85 and 91, but she's doing a good job. All right, so cylinder 1 has been done. Cylinder 2, oh my god, that looks scary. But just in case you did not know, the firing order: driver's side, cylinder 1, then you of course you have cylinder 2, then 3, then 4, but in this case it's firing order is 1, 3, 2, 4. So I'm going to go ahead and get this coil pack for cylinder 1 out of the way, so I don't hurt it in any way while I'm trying to access that sucker. And to me it looks like we're gonna have to raise the motor a bit, but let's see how we go without that. So when you're undoing cylinder 2, the spark plugs of cylinder 2, you pull the boot out and move it back towards the driver's location, so into the firewall. Do not pull it the other way, as its wires are kind of, you know, tight, and you don't want to make a mess there. So again, out and that way. So I got the socket and extension in there, but what you're gonna see is the lack of space between the firewall and this, so you might have to become really creative. I don't know if creativity is gonna work here, but I'm gonna keep you posted. So to remove the spark plugs from the cylinder, I use this magnet that you can bend. It'll help. It helped a lot to take it out because it becomes kind of a bind. You don't know if it's actually loose or not. So using the magnet to you know, check helps, and it helped also take it out. So I'm going to use the same technique to slide this in and then put the socket on, and then put the extension on top of the socket. Okay, so cylinders 1 and 2 are done. Just a tip: once you're done with cylinder 1, do not put the coil pack boot back on, because it's going to take away from the space you're going to need for your hands to get in there for number 2. Once it's all done, then you can start by putting the coil pack on for number 2 first, and then do number 1. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but this is the section, this is the side of the car, the driver's side of the car, is when people need to jack up the motor from the chassis slightly to get to that spark plug. Okay, but I've just shown you it is possible. Oh, it's official. The hardest side is done. One of the things I'd suggest when you're putting the boots back on is massage it in, left, right, you know, keep doing that as you're pushing it in, because you want it to sit completely flush and not have to use the little 10 mil bolt to secure it down. You want it to sit flush the way it was. So massage it in and you'll find that, okay, it's sitting perfect. Then you put the 10 mils back on, and for God's sake, do not over tighten that. You will shatter the plastic around it. So just, it has to be just finger tight. Okay, finger tight, and then one turn. So just remember how you took it off, the force you used to take it off, that kind of thing, but a little bit less because it was stuck, seized up before. The other thing that, so I'm going to leave this, but the other thing that I also suggest is leave this as is for now. Focus on that while you're in the zone, because this is going to be super frustrating, putting getting the wires back on here and so on. But so far this has taken about an hour to do this side, and that's including the odd phone call, neighbors passing by, and stuff like that. So let's see. Hopefully I'm gonna have to take this airbox out, hopefully not that charge pipe. Yeah, I don't want the extra headache. This catch can does not come in the way from what I saw, but I'm going to keep you posted on that. And here we are. It should be clean access. Numbers 3 and 4. I have a lot of stuff in my way, so that's the second catch can. First, I've got a K&N filter. It was cheaper than buying the ETS unit. Well, no, it wasn't, but I needed it ASAP, so I managed to find it on Amazon. Looks like I need another one. But yeah, okay, well, back to business. Let's get these out and see how it goes. So I've got the spark plugs in. Boot number 4 is in, cylinder 4, but number 3, I mean, it's done, but the boot doesn't want to go in all the way. Remember I was saying make sure it sits flush. It doesn't want to go in all the way. It seems to be sticky, so in a situation like that, I would add some white silicone grease on the outsides here. That's what I'm going to do to help it slide in easier. So here you go, the white silicone grease on the outside, with the hopes that it's going to make my life easier reinstalling it. Done and done. Now the fun part, trying to get this shit back together again. Well, at this point I should clean that, as I don't have a replacement. I normally swap those out twice a year. I don't re-oil them, although they're oilable and lifetime warranty. The oiled, cleaned up and oiled one does not work as good as a factory filter in general. So I just replaced them. They're about $50 a time and twice a year. That's not bad. Rather do that than mess around with oiling and lack of performance. Yep. Well, let's get this back together again.